why are you guys here today?
So we're here to talk about a panel on the future of work and robots and technology more generally.
Sure. And in terms of this particular political moment, why do you think talking about the future of work is so important?
Well, we're kind of in an era where there are increasing anxieties about automation. We've seen a number of studies come out from organisations like Deloitte and the World Economic Forum, which have looked at the changes that automation are going to bring in terms of a really important aspect of our lives, which is how we work, how much we work, and so on. So there's this kind of anxiety about, will robots take your job? And that's something that we're here to kind of talk about today. Will they take your job? We think it rather depends on who you are, and it depends upon how the social conditions and the technical conditions evolve over the coming decades.
And do you think that's something to be feared, the prospect of automation invalidating certain sections of jobs?
I think it's something we need to prepare for. If we don't prepare for it, the risk is that we have either rising unemployment or increasing number of really terrible jobs, low-wage jobs people are doing. We can actually use this technology for the benefit of society, but we need to actually build up a social system that enables us to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think a healthy amount of fear, not a debilitating amount of fear, but enough to make us cautious and enough to make us realise that if we want to build a better automated world, it needs to be through engaged political struggle and collective action.
So when you raise the possibility of the automation of jobs as a good thing, does that resonate with people? Because obviously there's a lot of discourse around work being the fundamental contribution to society. Work is how you construct your identity, it's how you feed your kids, that kind of thing. So does that resonate with people at all?
I think it depends on who you're talking to. I mean, in terms of the culture of the work ethic, I think it's quite unevenly distributed. So for a lot of people in my generation and younger, there's this real sense that the promise that work is supposed to have in terms of, giving you a sense of dignity, giving you a sense of purpose, giving you something as kind of like a hook to hang your entire life over, doesn't really work anymore. Most people's experiences of work tend to be frustrating, debilitating, one of kind of struggle and anxiety and precarity and forced flexibilization. So there's this sense in which the work ethic potentially, there's the grain of it beginning to kind of break down or transform. But whether that actually plays out in terms of saying robots are going to take your job, yay, it's not really there at this stage. It's more a question of convincing people that we need to have a proactive leftist politics around automation and around changing cultures of work, and actually frame it as something that does have the potential to be better, a shorter working week, more time for you to do the things that you want to do, more free time, rather than seeing it as just forcing you into a position of having less resources and more precarity.
And so what do you think that political education program would look like?
It's reminding people of how terrible work is in the first place. I think it's also sort of reigniting the value of free time. So one of the ways in which we've tried to think about how to get a sort of popular idea of anti-work politics is not to pose it as anti-work, but instead to pose it as, for free time, the struggle for free time, which seems to resonate with people much more. There's this weird sort of sense in which, if you're against work, you must be for laziness, as though that was the only two things that you could do. When in fact, free time is just time when you can actually choose yourself what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
Not that I'm against laziness, but I
think
I think that there are it's this idea of framing it in terms of free time rather than post-work is also very good in terms of recognising forms of work that aren't typically considered when you think about post-work. So the post-work discussions tend to be attached to sort of industrial manufacturing or service work, and actually thinking about care work, whether that's professionalised care services or whether that is unwaged labour in the home and in domestic spaces, understanding that demanding free time means actually the rejection of drudgery in all its forms, not just in a particular and highly masculinised section of wage labour.